Hey friends, happy Monday. It is November 8th, and I am Father Bill Hill, one of the parish priests at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. It's nice to be with you. You can probably well imagine, you see me wearing some camo over my priest clothes. I am out in the Red Desert for a few days with Dad, looking for some elk. Our last elk hunting trip of the year. I swapped days off this week, and I'm going to take a couple extra days of vacation. Always a little bit sad and depressing for me at the end of a hunting season. It feels like it just started. I'll let you know next week how it went, right? People have been asking about my folks, so I will tell you. Mom, doing great physically, seems to be over kind of the COVID stuff. Dad is still on oxygen at night, but continuing to improve. Still dealing with cognitive disability, impairment from long-haul COVID, but taking care of himself and doing everything that he can to bring healing to his brain. So thanks for asking about the folks, and thanks for keeping them in prayer and praying for everybody that's affected and helping in the midst of COVID. One parish announcement. We're still in the midst of our United in God's Love moment, and so there is a link to our parish website that has this color brochure, this color pamphlet, as well as an electronic commitment card. The goal of the parish is 100% participation in the commitment cards, just reflecting on the goodness of God and our own desire to support the ministry and the work of our faith community over the course of this coming year. So thank you for your attention to that, and if you haven't done a commitment card, thanks for doing that. I do appreciate it. We as a faith community do notice the difference that it makes, so thank you. I'll give you a daily reflection on the readings, and then invite you to click the link and read the readings for the day if you haven't yet done so. Then turn off your screen. Spend some time with God before you move on to everything else. We finished the letter of St. Paul to the Romans, and so this week we have the Book of Wisdom, and it's going to be a very quick trip through the Book of Wisdom, the greatest hits. We're still working on the Gospel of Luke. I know that we have some Christian non-Catholic people who jump in on these things, and so you might go, Book of Wisdom, that doesn't ring a bell. It's one of the books that in a Protestant Bible is oftentimes described as apocryphal or deuterocanonical. For the Catholics and for the Orthodox, these are, inspired texts. And so the Book of Wisdom was written in Greek, which is the reason why it wasn't then included in the Jewish canon, and thus why it is not included in Christian Bibles. Wisdom was written in Greek, probably in Alexandria, so that's at the mouth of the Nile River, most important city in Egypt at the time, probably 50 to 70 years before the birth of Jesus. It gives its name to one of the genres of the Old Testament, which is wisdom writings. And so these aren't prophets, and these aren't books of history. These are experiences, reflecting in the power of relationship with God and a deeper understanding of what it is that God's doing. And so, like the book of Ecclesiastes, of Proverbs, of Sirach, are wisdom books that are kind of similar to this. The book of Psalms is a wisdom book, although that would be kind of different. But that is what the book of wisdom is about, right? Reflecting on the experience of God. One of the things about both Hebrew and Greek is that ideas, things that we can't tangibly touch, oftentimes are described with a feminine descriptor. And so the church is described as she, and wisdom is understood and is personified as a she. So as you're reading through the book of wisdom and you see wisdom referred to as a woman, our female friends are like, yeah, no surprise, bros, of course. That's what's going on there, right? Like wisdom in ancient understandings was always conceptualized as a feminine sort of a gift. In this reading from the Book of Wisdom, maybe two things, right? One is the call of wisdom to be people of justice, fairness in all of our undertakings and doings. That it is through understanding God present in the midst of the human family that we then see the need to live in fairness and goodness, that all people are, created by God with love and with dignity and purpose, that we don't keep unequal standards, but instead we treat all with justice. The second part of this passage of wisdom is the way that the spirit of wisdom isn't just in some places, but rather wisdom is poured out upon all of the earth, and the way that God's taking care of all that God has made in the power of wisdom. Those are maybe a couple of things to just reflect on in relation to that first reading with wisdom. The gospel, we hear about right relationship, about being people of forgiveness, letting go of the hurts that exist in our own heart. Faith the size of a mustard seed, which is the conclusion of this gospel, especially like in Luke's passage, people will argue about. Is it about quantity at all? Or perhaps it might be about potency, right? This is a wisdom saying of Jesus about faith like a mustard seed, and that it doesn't take a lot. We don't need to increase our faith, because if we have just a tiny amount, we can say to mountains to throw themselves into the sea. Perhaps it's about, not amount, but about potency, about quality, about openness to God instead of faith within us. Those are a couple of different ways that that mustard seed image in Luke's gospel has been understood. How about for us? What sort of assistance do we need in our faith walk today? Whether that's in forgiveness, whether that's in staying away from sin and not causing a little one to sin. Maybe it's just in keeping ourselves in relationship with God over the course of this day. What things do you need to ask for in terms of your own faith journey this day? All right, friends, that's the book of wisdom. That's the Gospel of Luke. I do remind you, we are still praying for members of our parish, family members, friends, everybody that's kind of connected with them. We're still praying for them and all who have lost their lives over the course of these years. Please pray for people that grieve and mourn. Pray for each other and pray for folks that are struggling, especially with COVID, but all folks that are struggling. God bless you.